Good evening. You're watching WION World is One News. I am Sana Khan. Tonight, we take up an extremely relevant yet an often ignored subject, depression. New figures released by the World Health Organization show more people are depressed worldwide than any other time. And depression is now, in fact, the leading cause of global mental and physical disability. The total number of people living with depression in the world is 322 million. Most of those live in the southeast of Asia region. 5 crore of them Indians. A while back, it took a film actor, Deepika Padukone, who came out and spoke openly about depression and the way she dealt with it. Here's a short clip of what she said back then.
She asked me 2 or 3 times, and I could feel myself choking, and I broke down. So I want to say to my mother that if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here. So thank you for helping me through this. My sister, my father, my friends, and my family for helping me through this.
Depression is a reality. Most people around us are going through it, but are they aware of it? Do they admit they are depressed? Why is it that the issue has not been taken up with urgency? Is it simply a lack of awareness, or is there something more to it? Over the next half hour, we talk about this issue in detail, but first up, a look at this report.
My sister, my father, my friends.
It took an actor to come out and talk about depression for India to take notice. But the latest report by the World Health Organization paints a sad story for India. The world's youngest population is also the most depressed, with over 5 crore people suffering from depression. Over 3 crore others are suffering from anxiety-related disorders, said the UN agency. These mental health issues are leading causes for over 2/3 of global suicides in low and middle-income countries like India. The figures suggest that the total number of depressive disorders account for 4.5% of India's population, while anxiety disorders account for 3% of the population. The WHO study is suggestive of the lack of awareness on mental health issues in India. The numbers speak for themselves. In 2012, India also accounted for the highest estimated number of suicides in the world.
It was just last year that the Rajya Sabha had passed the Mental Illness Healthcare Bill 2013. However, the Lok Sabha is yet to pass it for reasons unclear. Legislation apart, there is reluctance to acknowledge mental illnesses in our society. Milan Sharma in New Delhi for WION.
Let's talk more about depression, this issue, the numbers that the WHO has come out with its new report. Joining me here in the studio is eminent psychologist Ms. Jayanti Datta. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us here. Now, India holds the record of most number of cases of depression and suicide rates as well, says the WHO report. What is it that makes Indians such a depressed lot?
See, India as a nation and in the society, it's been undergoing a lot of changes. You know, there is a total transition from one era to another. And in this, there are a lot of conflicts, you know, role conflicts is there, family support, the kind of family support we are used to is no more there. So all of a sudden, you are left alone to fend for yourself. And there's a lot of competition in any field, but you are left alone to fight that battle. That support system has collapsed. So as a result, this deep sense of insecurity drives you towards this, you know. But I will take this opportunity to tell the audience that this is not something you should be scared of. This is a state of affair where you can get out of it, provided you seek the timely help from the right kind of professionals. We heard Deepika Padukone, she is a celebrity, and you see she talked about the family. had she been given the right time intervention by professionals, I'm sure she must have taken the professional intervention, but at the right time intervention, you can get out of it. Mind you, this is your own mind, this is your own body. Everything starts not because of bacteria, not because of viral infections, not because of any other infection, but because of your thoughts. And when your thoughts are regulated, you know, professionally,
right,
then you can come out of it. It's curable.
Right. That's a very crucial point that you mentioned right at the start of our discussion,
Yes.
that depression is curable. Remember that, all of your viewers who are joining us right now on the show. And there are several reasons to depression. One cannot pinpoint just one reason. From an actor to a person with less means or low income can also be depressed. Now, the story is similar in Pakistan, where depression and anxiety are not the only mental health issues there. Post-traumatic stress disorder is another condition which experts have linked to social and political uncertainties in the country. WION's Pakistan Bureau Chief Taha Siddiqui filed this report.
In Pakistan, depression and anxiety are the most frequent mental disorders, and prevalence among women are up to double those of men. But increasingly, the incidence of post-traumatic stress disorder PTSD is showing up, and experts are linking it to terrorism. Clearly, the situation is grave, and the World Health Organization's Assessment Instrument for Mental Health Systems study points out that Pakistan allocates little or no money for mental health services.
Experts say that more than 34% of Pakistani population suffers from anxiety and depression. With only 400 psychiatrists in the country, this translates to one psychiatrist for 500,000 of population, an alarmingly low rate given the growing problem of mental disorders in Pakistan.
And if one opts to consult a psychiatrist, many are known to offer spiritual advice first. For example, some patients complain about being asked to pray or find God. Such diagnoses or advice discourage many from seeking help. The fact is, mental health and emotional well-being is an issue which still receives inadequate attention in Pakistani society due to the stigma attached. People don't want it known that they are seeing a psychiatrist. They have to be coaxed and pleaded with by family members into seeking help, and indeed sometimes lied to about the kind of doctor they are going to visit. Experts say the government needs to launch awareness campaigns to change such attitudes. Then only can Pakistan move towards becoming a mentally healthy country. Taha Siddiqui, WION, Islamabad.
Now, we've seen some of those factors which result in post-traumatic stress disorder or PTSD or depression. Joining me right now is Dr. Safi Shah. He's a mental health associate. He joins me from Karachi right now. Thank you, Dr. Shah, for joining us now. Give us a sense of what really are the major factors in Pakistan right now, ma'am, because, you know, I was reading up another report which came out in 2013. It says that, yes, there's depression in Pakistan, but it's more prevalent amongst the women there. Could you pinpoint some of the factors which could have resulted in depression more likely, more in women in Pakistan?
Sure. Thank you, Sana. So it's highly likely that these figures, as pointed out by you, this report, as well as what Taha presented, are underestimated as it is. However, there is a reporting bias. So what that means when it comes to research, what I mean by reporting bias is women are more likely to report mental health issues as opposed to men. Needs assessment are more catered and better adapted to women and identifying women's mental health needs. And also there's less stigma associated with women with regards to seeking mental health. If you compare that with men, men are unlikely to report with mental health problems because of the fact that it's perceived as something which goes against masculinity and how we perceive masculinity. So most common morbidities in female, in a research I myself conducted in 2012 under routine programmatic condition, were adjustment disorder with women. So as you know, what often happens is a woman gets married, she has to either move a city, move home, move country, things like this, and that was coming in as the most common problem when the woman is not being able to adjust, functionality decreases. When functionality decreases, the household stops. More likely to seek help in that case. So this is one of the reasons why that's happening. So it's a reporting bias.
Right. Also, Dr. Shah, according to the WHO report, we've seen that it mentions that it's more prevalent in the low and middle income countries. And Pakistan is a country with a lot of political instability as well. We see terror attacks day in and day out. So could that be perhaps a major reason why people over there feel less safe, and because of the low incomes that is more prevalent over there, more number of cases of depression?
Yes, very well identified, Sana. These are chronic conflict settings, whether it's small level conflict or large level conflict, all of this has an effect on you. So there's greater incidence of mental health issues. There's also greater prevalence of mental health issues, two very different things. There's a lot of poverty, there's unemployment, instability with regards to terrorism as well, as you pointed out, but there's a lot of political instability as well and uncertainty. And all of these contribute to the disruption of the socio-cultural fabric. And as we know, that contributes to new mental health problems as well as aggravating pre-existing mental health problems.
Right. Now, Dr. Jayanti Datta is also with us here in the studio. She's an eminent psychologist. She wants to come in at this point. Go ahead, Dr. Datta.
Yeah, there are role enactment, role conflict, role confusions, and the EQ, that is the emotional quotient for women, is more. Then you have another condition which throws the woman for depression or into the field of depression. That is the postpartum psychosis. After the delivery, very often the female suffers from depression. These are related to hormonal changes,
right,
plus a sense of isolation. As I was trying to tell you earlier, the sense of isolation and sense of not getting that support is something which pushes you to the brink. And
absolutely,
all of us have our
and it
own.
Could not just to women giving birth, it could happen to anybody. But Dr. Datta, at this point, I also would like you to highlight the very simple, basic, definition of depression, so to speak. People talk about it all the time. We all have it or would have had it at some point or the other at various levels, various intensities. But what exactly is depression?
Brilliant, Sana. We all go through the ups and downs about the mood. And sometimes you get up, you say that I'm feeling very low. That's not depression. If you've been feeling low for more than a fortnight, and your desire, your willpower to do anything, daily course, also you don't want to go ahead with, then it could be depression. Depression needs to be diagnosed. Sometimes due to the change of the season also, we have said that is seasonal affective disorder. That can also cause depression. But then before you say it's depression, you have to find out whether there's loss of sleep, there's loss of appetite, loss of willpower, and it goes on, more than a fortnight. And then ultimately you don't want to make an effort. You feel everything is lost and I want to end my life. Then, of course.
So there are very specific
and there are various
to depression.
Various types of depression,
right.
Yes.
So awareness is key. Awareness is key. I think we must agree on that. People should know what exactly is depression before jumping to conclusions. A person might not even have depression, but may think so. Awareness essentially important, but let's also take a look at what's happening in Bangladesh. Now, the country, despite being among the top 10 happiest countries in the index there, in the Gross National Happiness Index, it has more than 6 million people suffering from depression, again, according to the World Health Organization. WION's Bangladesh Bureau Chief Saad Hamadi filed this report from Dhaka.
More than 6 million people suffer from depression in Bangladesh, according to the latest report of the World Health Organization. This figure works out to a little over 4% of the population and close to the global average of 4.4%. The causes of depression don't vary much from what people all over the world undergo. The report suggests depression is caused by poverty or unemployment, also the death of a loved one or when a relationship breaks up. Depression could also result from physical disability or debilitating illness. Add to that problems caused by alcohol and drug abuse.
In general, depression is prevalent in Bangladesh. We see it. Even when I see my clients, those who come, rate of depression, the percentage of client who comes to me for help, mental health or counseling or psychotherapy, depression is high.
Interestingly, Bangladesh was ranked the 8th happiest country among 140 nations in the 2016 Gross National Happiness Index, a measurement concept first founded in Bhutan in 1970. The experts say social and economic factors play a big role in the prevalence or onset of depression. An earlier survey by the National Institute of Mental Health said the percentage of people suffering from mental illness had almost doubled over a 10-year period beginning 2005. The World Health Organization's findings reveal that depression intensifies from social and economic issues. While medical science has its explanation, there is much the government and individuals can do to improve the situation as well. In Dhaka, this is Saad Hamadi for WION.
In fact, Saad now joins me live from Dhaka at this point in time. Saad, thanks very much for that report over there. But, you know, statistics show, according to the National Institute of Mental Health, that the number of cases, of people depressed has almost doubled between the years 2005 and 2015. And on top of that, you have this WHO report. What do experts say? What are the primary factors which result in people being depressed in Bangladesh?
Thank you, Sana. In fact, those reports correspond with the psychiatrists and psychologists that I have interviewed for the story. And depression happens to be among the top of psychological illness that comes across to these doctors, psychiatrists, and psychologists. The reasons being manifold, actually. It's not just the poverty issue, but like who has mentioned, a lot of these are socially constructed, more than the chemical reaction or the biological concerns that can be diagnosed. A lot of it is intensified by the social construction. And like you have mentioned previously, in case of other parts of the subcontinent where terrorism has been one of the reasons. So it's not just in the confined to the lower and middle income groups, but also in the higher income groups where the self-fulfillment or the self-actualization process, many of the youths go past there but don't quite find a means for their existence. And that is what leads them to different forms of depression. And while it's being said about the higher strata, the psychologists also point out that among the lower income groups, the terminology depression is not quite understood well even. So in many of these cases, when they're asked about if they're feeling sad for something, if they've had a loss of life of their dear one, if they've had an issue with relationship, that is when they get to realize that perhaps it's a reason for depression. But as it is, the word or the terminology do not really register to the people, and they cannot identify themselves.
Absolutely, Saad. The human mind, they're really unique. Depression cuts across ages, as Dr. Datta was just pointing out a short while ago. Even kids have it. Across social, statuses of people, across professions, across genders, really. But in India, we have actors talking about it. I want to ask you, Dr. Shah, what's happening in Pakistan? Are there big celebrities or people who are public figures? Do they come out and have they ever openly talked about a subject like this?
No, Sana, unfortunately, that hasn't been the case as yet. We're always hoping for first, and it's great that India has led with that. Let's hope to change here and inspires people in Pakistan as well. However, there definitely is a change, and it's happening because of media and awareness with regards to mental health in terms of awareness campaigns, training workshops for professionals, all of this. There are trends to try and destigmatize depression as well. Basically, these are being associated with what is huge, is still quite a very huge stigma in Pakistan, and this is especially for professionals, and that's quite ironic in itself. There have been dramas talking about it, and that's traditionally something in Pakistan which has led to a lot of change, where dramas talk about depression. In social media, it's considered quite a safe space. There's a lot more about people bonding and relating with each other and finding that community culture which was traditionally there, which changed due to modernization, by connecting with other people going through depression and expressing it via social medias, but we still don't have any celebrities who've talked about it.
All right, in that sense, I think India fares better. There are a lot of celebrities who've come out and talked about it, big actors, a lot of people who youngsters in the country look up to. Does that make a change in your opinion?
It does. Because when the celebrities come out, that kind of stigma, goes down. And I would like to point out one thing more. Depression is a mental illness where psychotherapy plays a big role, you know. It's not always that you have to be dependent on the medication, because ultimately, as I said, it's your mind, it's your thoughts. And you know, cognitive behavior therapy is a hugely successful treatment modality, therapeutic modality, which we very often adopt, and we get very good results. But you know, the intervention has to be timely. You should not hide this and, you know, feel guilty. Why is it happening to me? It's happening to so many people, and you certainly can get out of it.
All right. Saad, coming to you, you know, we're talking about stigmatization of an issue like depression, like many others in South Asia, but sticking to depression right now, there are also reports saying that the cases are underreported because people are really shy, they are embarrassed to talk about it. So could these numbers, a possibility is the numbers that WHO and all these other reports come out with could be massively underreported? And also, what sort of a role does social media play as far as Bangladesh is concerned in addressing issues like depression?
Absolutely, Sana. The experts always say that these numbers can very well be underreported because a lot of people feel shy to come about it. Now, when you mention about Indian actors coming out, they create a sense of inspiration as well as an example for people to actually feel how they can overcome. And just like Dr. Jayanti has also mentioned, that it's not just medications that is required, it's a matter of psychotherapy. So that is something that is not available in abundance, and especially they require very personal care in that sense. There is no public example for people around within the society of Bangladesh to look up to and feel that they can get over the kind of depression that they go through for various reasons, and inferiority is one of them.
All right, Dr. Shah, coming to you, and then we'll take closing comments. How much of a role does an application like Instagram or Facebook play in, you know, having more and more cases of mental health disorders, depression? You see these gorgeous pictures of models all the time on these social media applications. A lot of people looking at those results in, you know, low self-esteem, and they try to question their very existence. We've seen that a lot in the younger generation. Do you think that's a big factor with everybody carrying a mobile phone and internet 24/7?
So I think we need to be careful here, Sana, with how we go about this. I wouldn't say social media is responsible primarily for unrealistic and idealistic body images. However, there's a lot more propagation of these things. Social media has been responsible, at least in the context of Pakistan, for creating a safe space for people to connect and talk about depression, discuss depression, and connect with other people, as well as proclaim that, look, I was going through depression during so-and-so time. Other people like that, and that is a very big thing to be able to come out like that. So I think we can use social media as a tool. There will always be ways that things that we can attribute to leading to misuse of an excessive use of anything can lead to unhealthy processing. And social media can be held responsible in that regard. However, it can also be used as a tool for good to combat depression.
Absolutely. I think you made a very valid and a balanced point over there. It's how you choose to look at a certain medium that plays a very crucial part. Time for closing comments. Dr. Datta, what can be done? What is the most important thing that countries like India, Bangladesh, Pakistan need to do to address this issue?
I think the primary thing is awareness. Accept what you are going through is not you are going through alone. There are a lot many people, and there are help available. So take that help, and there should not be that kind of a stigma. The social media, sometimes, you know, it's wrongly interpreted, and the rivalry between the peer groups can also lead to unfortunate ending of life, like suicide. We had a case in Mumbai where the girl was not asked to go to the Facebook by the parents, and she committed suicide. So one has to see the sensitivity of the child, and then, you know, provide that kind of a bonding, you know, the social bonding. The person should not feel isolated out. So you need to spread the awareness. You need to create
from a very young age, I think, that is necessary.
Community support. And please, for heaven's sake, don't hesitate to approach a professional psychologist whenever you find you are not able to manage your thoughts properly. We can guarantee we'll get you out of this.
That's a very positive thing you've just said. Dr. Shah, how would you like to end? Closing thoughts on what can be done?
I think it's just to add to what Dr. Datta said, is beautifully put. We need to look back at our history as well. We are traditionally, patients have been looked after by families within this region. We need to look to each other. We need to connect individualistic lifestyle, and this modernization, the need to modernize, it can be quite dangerous if it's too accelerated. So we look around each other, identify things. If you're not sure, always ask, but don't isolate and shut down, because that can only aggravate the problem.
All right, we'll have to end this discussion right here, but I think the important message here is awareness about the problem itself, and to act this whole region as one and to help out each other, be it through social media or any other mode. Dr. Jayanti Datta, Dr. Saifi Shah and Saad Hamadi, I'd like to thank all of you for being a part of this very crucial discussion. We're going to be taking a short break. News and updates will continue on the other side. Thanks so much for tuning in.